Good morning, everyone. My name is Ahmad Al-Qadi. I work as an advocacy officer for Justice for All Canada. I'd like to begin this press conference by acknowledging that in Ottawa, we are on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation, whose presence here reaches back to time immemorial. We also recognize the Algonquins as the customary keepers and defenders of the Ottawa River watershed and its tributaries. We honor their long history of welcoming many nations to this beautiful territory and uphold and uplift the values and voice of our host nation. Moving forward, what have we been witnessing this month that cannot be categorized as a genocide or as genocidal? We have seen the indiscriminate murder of civilians. Now over 14,000 killed civilians, among them more than 5,000 children, over 4,000 women also killed, and among them 60 killed journalists. What's just as important is the fact that 500,000 people have been displaced from their homes, from nowhere to go, and no hope to return to their destroyed homes. In a month and a half, this has happened. And how can this not be described as genocidal? So after so much senseless killing and displacement of innocent civilians, we will stand unabashed, unreserved, and unafraid to make this claim. It is the cold, hard truth. Today, we're merely echoing the voices of tomorrow when we as a nation, and specifically our leaders, look back on this and say, we should have never let this happen, that they regret letting this happen, and say the famous words, never again. And these words that carry meaning, that should carry meaning, but mean little to our government, clearly, because they have allowed this to happen. They have not worked with international partners to secure an immediate ceasefire. And right now, as a nation, we can continue to either let this happen, ignore the fact that we are witnessing a genocide unfold right before our eyes and allow further civilians to be murdered, or we can accept it and work towards a path of justice and peace. These weeks, we have seen horrible images of children so severely wounded by bombs and explosives that their flesh has been torn from their bodies and their bones are visible. And this is courtesy of the indiscriminate, violent campaign of bombing brought to you by the Israeli government. What's worse is that the medical situation in Gaza right now is an absolute crisis. In northern Gaza, every single hospital has been rendered completely inserviceable. They're out of service. They cannot operate. Amputations and surgeries that need to happen as an emergency are done without anesthesia, without any medical supplies, because there's no medical supplies available. And if we think that just because right now there is a 4-day truce that people will not continue to be killed, that is false. Let's remember that people are starving. They are starving to death. They are dying of thirst. They have no fuel. They have no electricity. And that blood is on the Israeli government's hands and the hands of our government. But nonetheless, we have 4 precious days. And in these days, we have to urge our government. We must urge our government to work with its international partners tirelessly to ensure that, number one, we can reach an immediate and permanent ceasefire to end the senseless violence and end the killing of civilians and the killing of children. And as well, our government has to work with its international partners in securing desperately needed medical supplies to the people of Gaza. We cannot allow this to continue. We cannot keep watching people be bombed with no hospital to go to. Today, you'll be hearing from representatives of the Indigenous and medical community of Canada to stress this absolute necessity for our government to take the humane, logical, and only approach to ending the violence against the Palestinians in Gaza and the murder of innocent civilians.